All right, here we go. Another practice coming at you. This is going to have a lot of poses linked together in sort of a flow type of way. And I actually just thought I filmed the entire thing and nothing worked. So it's like one of those learning opportunities where the last thing I want to do right now is go through this again. But you have to sort of just be with things as they are and do the things that need to be done sometimes. So I thought I'd share that with you as we get going. One of the big things that we're going to be working on today that I'll be talking about is working with the rotation of your thighs. Okay. So we talked about the femur bone in the past, which is your thigh bone. If you had a line going through them, and you were to rotate your thighs in towards one another, what'll happen to your pelvis if you look from the side? So if I rotate internally, it tilts my pelvis forward and my tailbone lifts up and back. So that dog tilt. Now, if I were to go the other way, so I were to rotate my thighs externally, what'll happen when I do that is that my pelvis tilts backward and my tailbone tucks underneath. So in the past, we've worked with just tilting our pelvis forward and backwards. Now we have another tool in our toolbox to sort of dial in a little bit more detail as we go. So as we come on down to our back, let's begin. Bend both knees, put the feet flat onto the ground. Let's arrive here for a moment. A couple of nice big deep breaths. And you may notice there's some things still lingering with you. So what I want you to do is on your next inhale, just say to yourself, let. And as you exhale, say to yourself, go. Repeat that twice more if it's helpful. Making a point of deepening the breath, using your diaphragm, expanding your rib cage. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Start by drawing the left knee in toward the chest. Take a couple ankle circles in each direction. So we're going to be doing some balancing poses today. And so these little movements at the beginning will help set us up later on. And with this left knee drawn into the chest, straighten your right leg out onto the floor. Now notice your right leg. Okay, first of all, pull your toes back towards your face so the toes are pointing straight up toward the ceiling. And I want you to think about that right inner thigh and think about rotating it in. Now you can overdo this. So really we're just trying to rotate it so it's neutral. The tendency for most people is that those right toes, the right leg is going to kind of flop out. It's going to go into external rotation. So we're internally rotating it and we're really squeezing it there. So actually use your right hand to help squeeze it and support it, push down. Now we're going to take this left leg straight up to the sky. Okay, so put the hand behind the knee, straighten the leg out. And as you keep this right thigh internally rotating, I want you to straighten the left leg as much as you can. Same thing, internal rotation without overdoing it. So we're taking it internal enough to keep it neutral. Less emphasis with the left leg, most likely. More emphasis with the right leg. Now, from here, again, think about this top of the right thigh, internally rotating and dropping it down toward the ground while you lift your foot up. So there's internal rotation happening at the hip and a little bit of external rotation happening in the toes lifting. So it's a little bit of opposing action here. Release both hands. Keep the rotation neutral, right? Keep it active. As you sink your right hip down, lift your left or your right toes up. As you sink your left hip into its socket and drag it a little forward, the left toes go backward. Now, take a little bit of work in the belly. If you want some more, you can lift the head and shoulders up, reach the hands forward. But again, keeping really dialed in with the legs. One last breath here. Don't rush the breath. And then go ahead and release. Bring both knees into the chest. Put the left foot down. Drag the right knee in. A couple of ankle circles here with the right foot. And the left leg extends onto the ground. And again, just sort of watch where it goes naturally. You might not have much of a tendency to flop it out externally. But if you do, we're going to take this left hand and we're going to dial it in. So internally rotate. Ground that left femur down. Right leg up to the sky, right hand goes behind, a little stretch in the right leg here, toes pull back, especially that pinky toe. The big toe is kind of the easier one to pull back, so really get that pinky toe back. Now from here, again, bringing your awareness to your left femur, internally rotate, drop it down to the floor as you reach the left foot up. Again, watch this right leg wanting to do the same thing, internally rotate it. Drop it down as the toes go up and back. Hands release. Work your core. Do your best to stay with the breath. Dial everything in. Maybe head and shoulders come up off the ground. Accentuating that exhale, pulling it down into the floor. Keeping a little space between your chin and your chest. Last breath here. And then exhale. Draw it in, knees to chest. Rock a little left and right. Now place your feet down. You're going to lift your hips up and shift them over to the right a couple of inches. Okay? Now, straighten the left leg on the floor. Draw the right knee into the chest and take the right leg across the body for a spinal twist. Right arm out to the side. Relax the exhale as you relax into the twist. Now, although I don't want you to use your arms and crank on this, it can sometimes be nice to place your right hand on your right rib cage, kind of grip it, your left hand on the left hip, the outside of the hip. And then as you exhale, use your hands to sort of gently guide the rotation. Now, when you inhale, you should feel that expansion into your hands. Kind of nice. And then exhale, melt, release. Switching sides, we want to shift our hips back to center and then over to the left a couple of inches. Straighten that right leg out and bring the left knee in. Now you're going to wait for the exhale here and ride it all the way across your body. Now you might get a little spinal Rice Krispie treat there, that snap, crackle, pop, totally natural. But if you feel like there's one close, again, avoid the tendency to use your arms and like kind of crank it to try to find that pop. Instead, take a deeper breath, relax a little bit more, and see if you can get into it that way. Now, if you like that technique of your hand on the rib cage, the left hand can go on the ribs, the right hand can go on the hip, and again, it's a gentle guidance into the twist a little bit more. And then slowly release. Now what you're going to do, instead of rolling back onto your back, you're actually just going to keep rotating in this direction, and we're going to come onto our bellies. Now from here, prop yourself up. So lift your chest up a little bit, bring your left forearm onto the ground, bend your right knee, and reach back with your right hand. Now you might need to grab like something to like kind of loop around your foot to help you reach. And then square yourself back off. And then start to pull this foot in. Now think about the front of your right waistline. Push that down into the ground. Usually that's kind of popping up a little bit. So really push that down and then lengthen your right knee back behind you here. You could even think about internal rotation of the tops of your thighs as you reach that right knee back, as you pull it in. Maybe the chest sinks down, maybe you lay flat and go deep here. And then without slingshotting the hand and foot, gently release, switching sides. So the right forearm, kind of prop up, left knee bends, reach back, grab what you can. And again, pull that heel toward the buttocks, flatten the left waistline down, reach the left knee back, and then come back to drawing the heel a little bit closer to the body. You can think internal rotation here. One last breath, and then release. And then push yourself on back towards child's pose for a moment, but we're not going to really go there. Instead, we're going to go to downward facing dog. Keep your knees bent. All right, and then shift into plank pose, top of a push-up. So we're not going to lower to low plank. We're actually going to hold plank pose. Think about the tops of your thighs. Internally rotate. You're going to feel your butt maybe sticking back a little bit. So now send your tailbone simultaneously down towards your heels. So your inner thighs are rotating in toward one another, but your tailbone is reaching to your heels. So that should probably activate your legs, help take the pressure off your arms. Keep breathing. One more breath here. Look in between your hands. Stay focused. You got this. Listen, when your exhale comes from your inner thighs inwardly spiraling, pull back to downward facing dog, giving your shoulders a little bit of a break. Pause here, gather. Look at your feet, look at your hands, kind of do any little adjusting that you need to do. And what we're going to do is with your own breath, so you're going to move at your own time here. We're going to do 3 of these where we're going to inhale, float into plank, and exhale, go to downward facing dog. Okay, so when your next inhale comes, slowly float. Keep the inhale going. Don't stop it just because you get into plank. Try to maintain. Reach through the crown of the head. Use the legs. Whenever your exhale comes, go back to downward facing dog. It's going to be different for everyone. You know what you're doing. It's a really simple pattern. 2 more like that. Inhale to plank, exhale to downward facing dog. Trying to extend the inhale, trying to extend the exhale. When you're done with your 3 rounds of that, we'll meet in downward facing dog. So you can just hold that there. And then we'll move on to the next thing. Now, if you're not in your last downward facing dog yet, that's fine. Once you do get there, you'll just walk your feet all the way forward to your hands. On your inhale, let your hands slide up your legs. Bring your hands just underneath your knees. Most people will have a round in their back, so work the shoulder loop. Shoulders up to the ears first, shoulder blades squeeze together, and then shoulders down away from the ears as the crown lifts forward. Tailbone points back, half fold. We're going to linger here for a moment, getting the feel of this, and we're going to do that same thing. So on an inhale, accentuate here with your half fold, and then exhale, forward fold. We'll repeat that process. Chin all the way into the chest. Inhale, float up. Halfway, work the lines of alignment. And then when you exhale, get that chin all the way into the chest and try to pull your belly up and in towards your spine and hollow it completely out, finishing the exhale completely. One more time on your own. Now, after this exhale, you get that chin into the chest, bend your knees quite a bit, and then just roll one vertebrae at a time all the way up to a standing position. Wiggle out, and then feel down into your feet. Lift all 10 toes up off the ground, spread the toes, pushing evenly through the four corners of your feet as you bring the toes back down. Half salutation, inhale, arms all the way out, up overhead, fingers reach, shoulders pull down, exhale, dive it forward and in, again, chin all the way into the chest. Inhale, floats up halfway, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms come all the way back up. And on your exhale, we're going to go right back down to a forward fold. One more half salutation. You can go at your own pace. If you need my support, inhale halfway up. Exhale, dive it back down. Maybe grab the backs of your legs, gently deepen. And then inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead, reaching the fingers up, pulling the shoulders down. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center for a moment. Pause here. Gather your breath. All right, we'll move. Okay. Keep building the warmth, coming into sun salutations from the Shivananda tradition. Drop the hands down to the side. Inhale, sweep the arms forward. Reach up, and then go back slightly. Now, instead of turning your inner thighs in, turn your inner thighs externally to tuck that tail and create some more space. Pausing here for an extra breath. Reaching up, then maybe back. Exhale, forward fold. Keep that exhale going. Step your right foot back. Bring your right knee onto the ground. Keep your back toes tucked under. Hands stay on the ground, either hands flat, fingertips, or on something. Bend the knee forward as you inhale. Come into low lunging cow. Shoulders rotate back as you look up with the heart and the head. Take an extra exhale here. An extra inhale. Now hold the inhale as you get to the top of it and step into plank, still holding your breath. Exhale your knees. Keep your hips and butt back, chin and chest forward in between the thumbs. Squeeze the shoulder blades together for knees, chest, and chin. And then drag your heart forward, point the toes, cobra. Shoulders away from the ears, shoulder blades pull together. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we step the right foot back. Now we're going to step the right foot forward to do the second side. So if you can't get it all the way forward in between your hands, go ahead and grab it, yank it forward. Left knee comes down. Again, back toes stay tucked under. Hands are flat. Inhale, low lunging cow. Bend into that knee, shoulders roll away from the neck and the ears. Look up toward the sky. Take an extra breath here. Gather your inhale. Use your back toes to lift your back knee up. And then exhale, spring on forward into forward fold. Inhale, arms sweep up. Root down through the heels, externally rotating the thighs. Up to go back. And then exhale, come on down to mountain. Pause here. Feel your heart. Feel your temperature. Anything else might be creeping in. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. We're now going to go into sort of a mashup between the Sun Salutation from Shivananda, the Sun Salutation A from Ashtanga, with some knee dips and my own little twist in there. So here we go. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Again, fingers reach up, shoulders pull down. Rib cage draws in. Exhale, bend the knees so you can swan dive forward, diving all the way in. Shin into the chest, squeeze it all out. Inhale, float up halfway. Work the shoulders, long spine, tailbone back. Exhale, bend the knees, hands come down, right foot steps back, right knee comes to the floor. This time we're going to point the toes. Walk the left foot a little bit wide as needed, and then inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Alternatively, you can have your hands in front of your heart or on your waist. Wherever you're at, I want you to think about pushing your right knee into the ground, dragging it forward. It's not going to go anywhere, but you're muscularly going in that direction. And this probably will feel similar to that quad stretch that we did when we were laying flat on our bellies at the beginning of class. Now this left foot, it's going to push down and drag backwards. You're scissoring your legs in towards one another, creating a nice stability in your pelvic floor. One more inhale here. And then exhale, hands all the way down. Step back into plank pose. Gather an inhale. You can use your knees if you need to. Just make sure you're not in tabletop. Instead, create a ramp. Exhale, lower forward, hover for a moment, push the ground away, heart first, belly second on the landing. Point the toes, work the shoulders, work the upper back for cobra on the inhale. Exhaling back to downward dog. So now we're going to stay on the same side. We're going to build that lunge a little bit deeper. So we're actually going to step the left foot forward, all the way in between the hands. Put the back knee down. This time, keep the toes tucked underneath. Inhale, arms up. Again, scissoring the legs together, squeezing the muscles of the pelvic floor. This is in some, they call this mula bandha or root lock. And this can really help you to stabilize from your foundation. Now, hands come down. Lift the back knee up. The tendency for most people is this heel is going to want to come down. Keep the back heel up. We're moving into high lunge. Maybe the left foot walks a little bit wider. Start to scissor. So the ball of the foot, those right toes, push down, squeeze forward. Left foot pushes down, squeezes in. Squeeze the muscles of the pelvic floor. Don't overdo it though. Keep it solid, still soft. Now, from here, hands onto the waist, in front of the heart or overhead. On an exhale, you're going to dip your right knee an inch above the ground while reaching the crown of your head up. Again, there'll be some length there. Go slowly. On the inhale, straighten your right leg back. 2 more times like that. Exhale. When I dip, you dip, we dip. And on inhale, straighten the right leg out. Try to keep this left knee nice and bent. Keep it deep. 1 more time. Exhale, lower. Again, lifting with the crown of the head. If your arms are up, fingertips as well. And then inhale, straighten the back leg. Tilt yourself forward. Hands come down. Step forward into a forward fold. Inhale, arms circle out and overhead. Bend the knees. Exhale. Let's go back down for the second side. Inhale, float into half fold. Long spine here. Exhale, bend the knees. Hands come down. Left knee steps back. Point the back toes on this first one. Adjust the feet as you need to. Scissor, squeeze, mula bandha to stabilize. Arms up. Keep the action happening in the legs. One more big inhale here, reaching up maybe a little bit higher, even maybe a bit of a back bend, like we do in standing arch. Exhale, hands down. Tuck the back toes underneath, right foot steps back. Plank. Big inhale, long through the crown of the head. Use your legs. Exhale, lower halfway, hover. Heart first, belly second. Point toes. Inhale, cobra. Make sure those shoulder blades are pulling down away from the ears and squeezing together. Exhale, downward dog. Staying on this left leg back. Step the right foot forward. And then drop the left knee down. Adjust your stance. Maybe it's bringing your right foot more forward. Maybe it's out to the side, whatever. Keep the back toes underneath. Inhale. We were just here. So come back to your low lunge. Squeezing legs together. A little bit of that root lock, a little bit of that pelvic lift. Exhale, hands down. Now from here, straighten the back leg. Again, notice the heel is going to want to drop out. That's essentially warrior one. So we want to keep the heel in the same direction as the toes. Kind of hop, step, get yourself feeling right. Scissor the legs, squeeze, squeeze. Eyes find one thing, coming up into high lunge. Keep your eyes focused on that one thing. Pick your hand position. On the exhale, left knee drops about an inch above the ground. Crown of the head keeps lifting. Inhale, straighten the back leg. Exhale, left knee dips. Inhale, straighten. One more. Exhale, dip. Crown of the head lifting. Maybe the fingertips up overhead as well. Straighten that back leg. Tilt yourself forward, hands down, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring the arms up overhead with you. And then exhale. Out of the mouth. Release a little steam. Pause here and gather. Now, as you gather, stay focused with your breath. But just watch me for a moment. I'm going to demonstrate this next bit of standing poses that we're going to do, these balancing poses. And essentially, if you try to look at your screen while you're doing it, it's going to throw your balance way off. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off in standing thread the needle. Okay, so you'll have one standing leg and your other ankle will be on top. Okay, this is kind of like, person at the park reading the newspaper type of thing, right? And you could sink down into this or not, right? But this is something that we've done briefly in the past. So my hope is that you're somewhat familiar. I'll talk you through it, but I just want you to see it as we go. As your head and shoulders come forward, your tailbone goes back. Okay, so standing thread the needle. From there, we're going to keep that same standing leg, and we're going to go from this sort of like person reading at a park bench to sort of the more formal leg cross. Okay, and you have to move anything out of the way to get there. That's fine. Internally rotate your thighs, squeeze them together. If you can hook your foot on the back of your leg, you can do that. Okay, so this, we've done Garudasana arms before. Now this is the legs as well. So whatever leg's on top, that same arm will be on the bottom. Yes. And we're going to squeeze and lift, okay? So this is often called eagle pose, but really Garuda's pose would probably be the better name. Now from there, we're going to stay standing. We're going to open it up. Get those wings out to the side as you glide yourself into what's called Warrior 3. So I'll show this from the side to get a little bit better of an angle. So we'll come from Garuda, open up, keep our eyes focused on one thing, keep the knee bent for support, and then as we get into position, we'll straighten the bottom leg, straighten the top leg, internally rotating the thighs, pushing the ground away, hands in a variety of positions. Lastly, we'll put our hands down and come into what's called standing splits, trying to reach this back leg up as much as we can, but really keeping it straight. It's the most important thing. Okay? So, now that you've seen it all, now it's time to do it. You might need to glance at the camera or at your screen or whatever, but know that that's probably going to throw your balance off. Here's the deal. If you fall out of balance, okay, smile, breathe, try again. An awesome life lesson to take. When something doesn't work out, smile, breathe, try again. That's the key. Okay, here we go. So I am going to mirror you. So we're going to start with your left leg. Okay, this is my right leg. We're going to start with your left leg. So bend your left knee. That's going to bear the weight. And pick your right foot up. Okay. Now, from here, we're going to put the ankle on top of the thigh, kind of close to the knee. Okay, so like we do for thread the needle. Pause here. Again, eyes on one thing. If you want to start to sit your tailbone back and let your shoulders come forward, if you want to extend your arms forward, if you want to take them out to the side, feel free to do what you like here, as long as you're focused and you're breathing. All right, now, last breath here, getting ready to set up Garudasana. Okay, so Gurudasana, one of Stevie's favorites, clearly. We're going to take the knee and we're going to stack it on top of the other. And again, if you have to move anything out of the way to make that happen, now's the time. Inner thighs rotate internally. So your tailbone kind of feels like it's sticking back. Squeeze thighs together. Now, with your right leg on top, your right arm is going to be on the bottom. And either you're just going to keep it here or take it into the Garuda arms as well. Keep squeezing those inner thighs. Keep squeezing shoulder blades down as elbows lift up. Now, slowly start to open up the arms, open up your wings. Keep your left knee bent. Transition into Warrior 3. Okay, now that back leg might want to open up. So this is our opportunity to internally rotate the thighs. So those back toes are pointing straight down toward the floor. Crown of the head is lifting out. And I'm using my left leg. I'm pushing the ground away. So I'm not dumping into this hip. I'm really squeezing and lifting. And I know this is a doozy. So let's go ahead and bring the hands down and try to come into standing splits. Reaching your right leg straight first, and then maybe up a little higher. Straight first, then maybe up a little higher. One more inhale and exhale here. And release. Hey, how's it going? Yeah. And then slowly roll yourself up. Get a little bounce. Get a little shake, a little twist. You ready for side 2, Stevie? All right, let's do it. Good girl. Right leg is now your grounded leg. So a little bit of bend there, yeah? Okay, here we go. Left ankle on top of thigh, eyes focus. Now, from here, sit back. Standing, thread the needle. Hands can be wherever makes sense to you, but again, glue your eyes to one spot. Think about squeezing everything into center to help keep you focused. You might have some little distractions coming around. Might be a sibling knocking on the door, You know, things aren't always going to be perfect exactly the way you like them. The secret is to be with what shows up. All right, now we're going to start to transition out of this. So one last exhale here. Now, slowly slide the left knee on top of the right. Keep that right knee bent. Squeezing the inner thighs, rotate them in towards one another. Keep that squeeze. All right, the left leg is on top, left arm will be on the bottom. Wrap it up, or give yourself a big hug here. Stay with breath for Gurudasana, Garuda's pose. Elbows up, shoulder blades down. Elbows up, shoulder blades down. Preparing to take flight. Slowly opening up your wings. Eyes focus on one thing. Keep your right knee bent at first until you get into position, and straighten that right leg out. Toes pointing down toward the floor. Inner thighs rotated in. Warrior 3, moving into standing splits. Hello. Hello. How's it going? Nice. And then put that foot down. Slowly bounce, twist, roll it up. Hands come onto the waist. A couple of circles in each direction. Just rinsing out the lower back. Bust out a little hula here. Each direction. Whew. All right, a little bounce. All right, let's get back to our last little standing sequence, and then we'll start to move toward relaxation. Coming back to the front of your mat now, we're going to come into chair pose, and if you don't remember chair pose, if your feet are together, you can really squeeze the thighs in. If they're not, that's totally fine. Just do not let your knees collapse in, okay? Knees are going to keep bending towards second and third toe, as we always kind of talk about, okay? So we'll start with chair pose. So having a look at your feet, aligning them, go ahead and bend your knees. You can have your hands on your thighs for now. Now take your hands on your thighs, internally rotate, and stick your butt way back out. Okay, so like really go for this. Some of you, this will be really easy. Some of you, this won't be. So I want really everyone internally rotate, stick your tailbone back and out. Now, by doing this, we're not supporting our lower back very much. So we need to kind of undo it. So watch me for a second. So as I really stick back as far as I can, I'm now going to think about my rib cage loop. So I'm going to take my rib cage down and into my body, and watch what's going to happen with my hips and pelvis. So as I draw it down and in, I come out of that. So my rib cage loop helps me to activate my core, which supports my lower back and brings me into a nice stable chair position. So let's all do that. So we internally rotate the thighs, stick your tailbones out, knees still bending towards second and third toe. Now rib cage down and in. So that's going to back you out of it naturally. Engage your core, arms up and overhead. Sit back into your heels. In fact, lift all 10 toes up off the ground. Keep your rib cage loop happening. One last inhale here. You got this. On the exhale, bring the chest to the thighs and then straighten the knees for forward fold as the chin comes into the chest. Inhale halfway up. And then exhale, hands come down. Step your right foot back. Now we're going to spin the right heel down, setting up for warrior 1. So my toes aren't coming straight out to the side. They're not straight forward. They're somewhere in between. I'm going to push the weight into the pinky edge of my back foot, strong back leg. Inhale, sweep my arms up for warrior 1. My knees still bending towards second and third toe, left hip squeezing in. Now, drop your hands to your shoulder height right in front of you. I want you to picture someone out there in the distance beyond your hands that needs some love, someone you care about, and take your right hand and reach back into your quiver and grab a love arrow and then put it into your bow. On an inhale, draw your right hand to your heart and pause here for a second, keeping that elbow lifted to shoulder height, and see that person in your mind's eye. With your next exhale, go ahead, open it up, right arm reaches back as you send that love out. Warrior two. Now I need to adjust my front foot. I'm going to walk my front foot so my front foot intersects my back arch. I'm going to walk my back foot back a little bit and turn the toes almost straight out to the camera. Warrior two. Knee going towards second and third toe, squeezing hip in. Now from here, reverse warrior. Right hand gently on my back leg, not pushing on my knee, gently. Left palm to the sky. Now, this front knee is going to want to come with you. It's going to want to straighten. Don't do it. Keep the knee bending towards second and third toe. On inhale, reach the left arm up. Keep bending into that knee. Again, reaching it up. Keep bending into the knee. Reaching it up, bending into the knee. Maybe you go back a little bit. Again, gentle hand back here. Hip squeezing in, back knee, reverse warrior, going for it. And then cartwheel, elbow on top of thigh, forearm on top of thigh, right arm overhead. You have to adjust your back foot in a little bit. Extended side angle. Rotating the chest open. Right shoulder on top of left shoulder. Shoulders away from the ears. And then go ahead, bring your hands all the way down and step it back to downward facing dog. On an exhale, walk your feet forward to your hands, and then inhale into a half fold. Let's do the other side. Exhale, bend your knees, hands come down, step your left foot back, spin the left heel down, setting up for warrior one. Weight really in that pinky edge of the back foot, back leg is strong. Ride an inhale all the way up. Warrior one, knee bends towards second and third toe. Now, as you bring your hands down to shoulder height, I want you to see someone in your life who you kind of have a challenge with. They're maybe not your favorite person. So I'm going to want you to see them because they need love too. And whatever baggage you have with your relationship with them, your interactions with them, I want you to inhale, let, exhale, go. Take your left hand and grab a love arrow. And maybe it's just some of the challenges that you have with that person are because that they simply don't have enough love in their life. Maybe that's not it. I don't know, but let's send some love their way. Inhale, open it up. Left hand to the heart. Elbow stays shoulder high. See that person, and with sincerity, go ahead and release that love in their direction. Opening it up to warrior two, adjusting the feet as you need to. Knee bends towards second and third toe, hip squeezes in and under. Stay with breath. Left hand gently on the back leg, right palm to sky. Lift as you bend. So the right arm lifts, the right knee bends. Maybe just like a millimeter at a time, but you're lifting, you're creating space, 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 and then maybe you're coming back, but that right knee is still bending towards second and third toe. And then go ahead and bring that forearm on top of the thigh, coming into extended side angle. So that warrior two, reverse warrior, and this extended side angle, oftentimes those three poses together are called a dancing warrior sequence. So we could potentially repeat those a couple of times, but we're not in this moment. Instead, we're going to reach that arm forward, place both hands down, push back into downward facing dog one last time. then come on down to a child's pose. You can sit on your knees or take a cross-legged seat. All right. Allowing yourself some moments to let everything sink in, let everything normalize, all the while sending deep breaths, letting your nervous system know that, hey, things are a little bit critical right now, but we're safe. Heart, you can relax. Belly, you can relax. Head, you can relax. And that might not be easy, but it's okay. You just need to know that it's okay. That communication with yourself is so crucial. So come on out. We're going to finish this with a little cool down. Again, I'll mirror you. So this is my left leg. You can use your right leg. And then bring your bottom of your left foot inside of that right leg, whatever makes sense. Depends on your hip and your knee a little bit, but wherever it works for you. But we're not tucking the foot underneath the leg. We're putting it up against it or just inside of it. Now, I'm going to take this right thigh, I'm going to internally rotate it a little bit so my tailbone, any butt flesh can get kind of out of the way. My right hand is my kickstand. My left hand raises on inhale. As I exhale, I ride it down, grab onto the outside of the leg or the foot, whatever makes sense for you. Now, before you go diving in, I want you to inhale and get super long in the spine, like we do in half fold. And then as you exhale, start to drape your heart and face forward as you go down. Do that twice more. So the inhale, you're going to back out significantly. You're going to work the shoulders away from the neck and the ears. Reach the crown of the head long, spine long. And then use that length as you go forward and go down, forward and go down, chin all the way into the chest. Once more on your own, you know what you're doing. I want you to just go inside and feel whatever feedback's happening in your body, the sound and sensation of your breath. All right. Now, keep the legs the way they are, but you're going to kind of just take this right leg out to the side. So now my chest isn't lined up with my leg. It's kind of lined up with my sternum, my tailbone. We're going to bend the right leg a little bit. We're going to take the right elbow inside, not outside, inside of the leg. We're going to take our peace fingers and we're going to hook somewhere behind the leg, the calf, the Achilles, kind of the ankle. And once we hook those toes, then we're going to straighten the leg down and sort of trap our hand. All right, now we're going to take our left hand and we're going to bring it on to the top of our femur. And we're going to externally rotate it. So we're going to rotate it away from the center line of the body. You'll almost feel like your right butt cheek, your right sit bone is like plugging into the ground. And that's where we want to keep our emphasis. So if you have to keep your hand here and doing this as you roll your left shoulder back, go for it. Keep that left sit bone grounded. Maybe you want to reach up. If at any point you lose that sit bone on the ground, back off, replug it in, and then go. Now, as you reach up and over, you can bend your elbow and create a little bit of a head hammock and lean back. And this rotation will really start to open up your side body. Some of you can even reach and grab the pinky edge of the foot. If you're doing that, make sure you're rotating and pulling the heart through. But again, all the while, keeping that left sit bone grounded. That's easily lost. One more breath here. All right. And one last pose before we go over to the second side. Hey, what's this? Right leg is straight. Left foot goes onto the outside. Okay. Now bring your hands and hug that knee in, lift your heart, roll your shoulders back. Okay. Now, we're going to take our left hand and wrap the front of the knee or your elbow crease. If you can get it around, that's kind of nice. Left hand's going to reach up and around, and you're going to twist over to the side. Now, again, we don't want to crank on this too much here. So inhale, lifting up, and exhale, really try to pull the belly in to facilitate the twist. After you finish an exhale, keep the legs the way they are, and then just go to the other side and quick counter twist. Okay? All right. So let's make our way over to the other side. Probably it's going to be your left leg sticking straight out. That right knee bending. Coming into the inside of the left leg. Get yourself situated, wiggle in. The left hand is your kickstand out. Inhale the right leg, right arm up. All right, let's make our way over to the other side. So it probably is going to be your left leg extended straight out. Your right knee is bent out to the side. The bottom of the right foot is gently pressing up against the left leg. Wiggle your seat in, internally rotate that left thigh, create some space for the sit bone. And the left hand is going to be that kickstand. Inhale the right arm up to the sky, so get length as you exhale, grabbing somewhere on the outside of the left foot or the left leg. And I'll pause here for a moment, and you want to embody that half fold type of position. So length through the spine on your inhale. You can back yourself out a little bit here. And then when you exhale, you're going to take that length and drape it forward, aiming the heart toward the knee, the head toward the knee, the shin, somewhere in that direction. Again, not attached to if it gets there or not, but that's just the general direction. And we'll do that twice more. So the inhale, you're going to back out, take that sort of half fold action. And when the exhale comes, you can let the shoulders round in, bring that chin all the way into the chest, and explore a little bit more into your depth. And then one more full inhale and exhale there. Coming out and going in. And as you finish that breath, come on up and start to reposition yourself, and we'll go into that revolve shape. So now instead of the torso in the same direction as a straight leg, we're sort of straight forward. Bring the left elbow inside of the left knee, the left leg. And then kind of wiggle those left peace fingers underneath your calf, your Achilles, so somewhere behind your leg. So bending your left knee a little bit, and then straighten that left knee out and trap your fingers underneath. Right hand comes onto the top of the right femur, and it rotates it externally. You can even start to roll your right shoulder back a little bit here. And that's where we want to make sure we keep rooting. That right sit bone, that right butt cheek, that stays down. And you can take that right arm up overhead, just stretch it up. That might feel nice. Don't lose the right sit bone. Keep that glued. Then maybe start to reach over the top, Maybe you bend your elbow, put it behind your head, you lean into it, because that rotating of the torso also is going to really start to open up that right rib cage, that right side body. So find a place where you can settle into and try to deepen your breath for like 1 to 2 more cycles. When you finish an exhale, then sort of inhale to lift yourself up and out. All right, now bring that left leg back straight. Step the right foot outside of the left leg. And then wrap your hands around that front knee and then pull yourself up. So the heart pulls forward, the shoulders roll back. So get length on an inhale. And exhale, right hand goes behind you and start to twist yourself in. Similar thing to what we were doing earlier. Inhale, lengthen the spine, maybe back out. Really emphasize the diaphragm expansion, the rib cage expansion, which is difficult in this position, but and then exhale from the belly, from the rib cage, start to twist. Couple more breaths here. So that inhale lifts, lengthen the spine. I know it can be difficult in a twisted position. Last breath here. Again, not using your arms to crank on it. Use your belly. Use your breath. Try to relax into it. And when you finish that third exhale, and slowly start to just keep your legs the way they are and rotate the opposite direction. A little bit of a counter twist. And now we can start to roll over onto our backs. If you want to take a seated position, that's fine too. Just something to ground our practice. Feeling the points of contact with the earth, whatever that is, whatever position you're in. Feel that support. And just for a moment, I want you to mentally and sort of telepathically just thank yourself for the effort that you were able to put together here. And then mentally, telepathically send some gratitude into the space that you're practicing. It could be your living room, your bedroom, right? The beach, the park, wherever it is. Just whatever the environment is that provides you space to work on getting to know yourself a little bit more physically, a little bit more mentally, a little bit more emotionally. I'd like to take a moment just to thank my teachers in my life, the obvious ones, the subtle ones, and everything in between, to equip me to share what I can with you here today. Releasing any controlled breathing, and allow yourself to just relax and let go for the next 2 minutes at least, longer if you got it. And when that time is done, then you take this quality that you leave with, and you try to take that out into the world as best you can. Have a great day.